Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this dose of celestial goodness. As always, thank you for joining me in this space and on this journey. I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. It has been a while, but you've always been on my mind. It's been an extremely busy few weeks for me, but I'm always thinking of cool things to share in this space and just cool stuff to share with you. I want to thank you for your patience on the quiet weeks, and an extremely big thank you and my deepest gratitude to my friends and family who encourage me, support me, and remind me to rest and that it's okay to take a break from one thing to focus on other things. I've said it before, but sometimes I also need to be reminded of my own advice. Fancy that. Now, before I launch into the topic that's been on my mind lately, how are you? I mean, really, how are you? Are you hydrating? I have to confess that I fell off my water drinking, opting instead, and I do say this with extreme guilt, for my favorite beverage, ginger ale. But after many recent trips to the doctor and having blood work done, I remember why I was such an advocate for drinking lots of water to begin with. It's so good for us. And before you start worrying, I'm okay. The past few years have been difficult on a lot of people, and in this country in particular, where for most people health insurance is tied to work, I'm very thankful for a stable career that I enjoy, and along with it, good insurance, health insurance, which allows me to check on my physical health as much as I need. I also want to remind people that we never know what someone is dealing with. Some people, myself included, while good at managing some stress, sometimes we don't realize how much we're absorbing from the world and how much what we're absorbing can be impacting our physical health. So take care of yourselves. In astrology speak, my moon is in Capricorn, an earth sign, a very hardworking sign, and admittedly, I enjoy working. I enjoy that feeling of accomplishment and the feeling of getting things done. It's easy to admit this because the balance is that I also like to play. And by that I mean I like to enjoy the experiences that life has to offer. This has manifested recently in a return to one of my favorite places, the Kennedy Center. We saw the entire Black Panther movie played there, but with a twist. The National Symphony Orchestra played the entire soundtrack. There was also a special guest, is a gentleman from Senegal who plays an ancient instrument called the talking drum, and his music was in the movie and it introduced the character of T'Challa. It was epic, it was amazing, and I cried. I've seen the movie like 10 times, but I'm a water bucket. I was just also happy to be seeing live music again. So my mom and I also had a mother-daughter moment. Hi, Mommy. And went to see Hadestown, the musical. I know the story of Orpheus and his love for Eurydice. I can never say this right. Eurydice. But this was a fun take on the whole thing, and the music was amazing. It also reminds me that even though I know the ending of stories, the journey to the end can be different and interesting. Knowing the end also won't stop me from, continuing on with something. This is something I wonder about in life a lot. If we knew how something would end, would we still persist? I suspect that this is why life is full of mystery, so that we may live, because if we always knew the ending, we might be tempted to remain stationary, afraid of the sadder endings. Some of my saddest endings have made way for some of my most beautiful beginnings. So be not afraid of what life has to offer, and don't get tied to endings. Enjoy the journey, truly. Albert Einstein said, "The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and all science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. His eyes are closed." Some other fun things: I went to the amazing Van Gogh interactive art museum pop-up thing. Popped up to the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. Went to the Spy Museum. Went to the O Street Mansion, where I immediately wanted to get rid of everything. It is a minimalist nightmare come to life. And if you have any hoarding tendencies, you'll be like, no, I need to get rid of this stuff. And we went for a long walk by the tidal basin and the monument, saw some good movies. I enjoyed Dune. I know everyone has their opinion. And I also got some new books on astrology. I spent some time in nature. It is fall here where I am, and it is one of my favorite seasons because the leaves are just so beautiful. The air is crisp, and there's a winding down into what is comfortable. Although things have been busy for me, I'm actually looking forward to some downtime soon. And in that time, I'm going to snuggle in my favorite chair with my favorite books and my blanket. I can't wait. So, we also went to Harpers Ferry National Park and visited one of their amazing wineries. There are lots of wineries in Northern Virginia. It was at this winery where I had a bit of an epiphany. Virginia has well over 250 wineries, and over 100 of them are located in Northern Virginia. Yes, that means when the 250th winery opened in that state, it already knew that there were 249 wineries, but it opened anyway. I had a conversation with my good friend Camilla. Hi, Camilla. And you can check out her blog, The Photo Librarian. But we were talking about starting things when there are already a lot of people doing that thing. Ultimately, we agreed that if you get a vision to start something and you are worried about market saturation, you should still give it a start. What is market saturation, and why should you start the thing anyway? Well, according to an article from American Express, a saturated market occurs when existing businesses meet all the current demand for a product or service. Market saturation often happens when multiple businesses are offering similar products or services to the same customers. You can think of this like a marketplace overrun with people all selling the same thing. Like when I've gone home to Jamaica before to the market, everyone's selling a craft, and that's a good lesson in negotiation, by the way. But everyone's selling stuff, and there's so much stuff, and it's like, are there enough people to buy this stuff? But that doesn't stop the people from selling their stuff, So it's also like the fact that there are 100 wineries in Northern Virginia. I think you should still start because you bring your own unique and personal touch to whatever it is that you're doing. In my case, I started this blog and YouTube station, even though there are millions of blogs and YouTube channels out there. You can't look at what everyone is doing. And I mean, you can, because if you're a business, you have to do something like a SWOT analysis, but don't let that dissuade you. What I'm saying is, think about your end goal. Think about what you have to offer. This is the lesson that I learned from the wineries. There's so many amazing wineries in this area. They all offer the same categories of wines, reds, white, rosés, and so forth. but they add their own touch to the grapes, the barrels in which they ferment, their styles, and their offerings. On this beautiful day of our visit to the Two Twisted Post Winery, we had cheese and wine sitting out in perfect autumn weather, laughing, chatting, and sampling all of these different wines. The grapes were heavy on the vines, and the staff was so friendly and chatty, even though they were working hard on the next batch of reds. Please do not let the fear of, while other people are doing it, stop you from doing something. You have a lot to offer to the world. You have vision, you have a unique touch, and these will allow the right people to come to you. My friend Desi says this all the time. You want, whatever you're doing, that you ask that the right people will find you, and I agree. Hi, Desi. Not everyone will resonate with what you have to offer, and that is okay, but you do have to start somewhere. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Do not neglect the day of small things, for little beginnings have big endings." Everything that we consume today, from the clothes that we're wearing to the food we eat, to how we are entertained and how we work, all of those started in the mind of someone, and they ran with their vision. Audre Lorde said, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." I am really believing in this for you, so I want you to believe in it too. There's a very long quote from Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, which sums up a lot of the fears that we have. But fear not, you got this. Let me list for you some of the ways in which you might be afraid to live a more creative life. You're afraid you have no talent. You're afraid you'll be rejected or criticized or ridiculed or misunderstood or, worst of all, ignored. You're afraid that there's no market for creativity and therefore no point in pursuing it. You're afraid someone else did it better already. You're afraid someone will steal your ideas, so it's safer to keep them hidden forever in the dark. You're afraid you won't be taken seriously. You're afraid your work isn't politically, emotionally, or artistically important enough to change anyone's life. You're afraid your dreams are embarrassing. You're afraid that someday you'll look back on your creative endeavors as having been a giant waste of time, effort, and money. You're afraid you don't have the right kind of discipline. You're afraid you don't have the right kind of workspace or financial freedom or empty hours in which to focus on invention or exploration. You're afraid you don't have the right kind of training or degree. You're afraid you're too fat. I don't know what this has to do with creativity exactly, but experience has taught most of us that we're afraid we're too fat, so let's put that on the anxiety list for good measure. You're afraid of being exposed as a hack or a fool or a dilettante or a narcissist. You're afraid of upsetting family with what you may reveal. You're afraid of what your peers and coworkers will say if you express your truth, your personal truth, aloud. You're afraid of unleashing your innermost demons, and you really don't want to encounter your innermost demons. You're afraid your best work is behind you. You're afraid you never had any best work to begin with. You're afraid you've neglected your creativity for so long, you can never get it back. You're afraid you're too old to start. You're afraid you're too young to start. You're afraid because something went well in your life once, so why bother trying? You're afraid of being a one-hit wonder. You're afraid of being a no-hit wonder. Man, she sums that all up so well. I hope that you realize how amazing you are, all of you, and that you have so much to offer, and that you are actually enough, even if you don't want to offer anything. You just being here on the planet is a gift. I also hope that this is a wonderful week for you, that you experience many beautiful, peaceful, and insightful moments that make you feel alive. May the stars shine so brightly over your week, and may it be a beautiful one indeed. Until we meet again, dear friend, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. I appreciate you.